Hello everyone, my name is Heleen. I'm the director of Go East, Festival of Central and Eastern European Film. And today I will be talking to Ksenia Okhapkina, who is the director of the documentary Immortal. Welcome Ksenia, how are you doing?
Hi. Yeah, very good to finally screen the film at your festival, though it's a pity that it's not in the cinema, because this is definitely the film for the cinema. It's not just kind of that I pretend on only the big screen, but when we were about to finish the rough cut, we watched it on the big screen and we changed everything because this film didn't work for the big screen when it worked for the small screen.
I have a lot of questions about your film. It is set in Apatity, which is a northern Russian city in the Arctic Circle. And it's a film about a community, about a system. It focuses less on individual psychology, or actually not at all, but more on different layers of social tissue, I would say. So yeah, it's basically a film about a community. So I would like to ask you, how did you find this town, and why did you decide to film there?
The idea of the film came to me, I think, at least 6 years before we started the project, when I was monitoring the northern towns in Russia. And I found out that all of them appeared in the Soviet Union, and they are situated in the places not suited for living at all. And I found that mostly ex-labor camps, Stalin's labor camps, and they appeared like the prisons. So the people definitely didn't settle there for their free will. And when I had a consultant, and he suggested me to look for the Apatita, and I was monitoring this town for some time, which was a labor camp. It appeared in the 1930s. Because it's so hard to live there that people escape to the world of fantasy to kind of find some joy and reason for being there. But it is not the fantasy of the people, it's kind of a fantasy of the state. And I found that there is a very small place for the creativity, for the fantasy there, and that it is kind of propagandistic art which is made there in this house of cultures, and it is kind of imaginary idea of sacrificing your life for the state. It is something that government suggests to the people, but they don't do this, but they kind of go to play this game.
Well, so you're suggesting that no one in Apatiti is living there of their free will, basically, that they are indoctrinated to stay in this place and somehow function there.
In the end, I think yes, but from the practical side of living, no, people live there for free will now. Because the labor camp closed after the Second World War. And but what was suggested after the prison was closed is the government suggested the people to do the same things that they made in the prison, but do this for money. That's the only thing. And I think that a lot of people leave this place, but a lot of people stay also because they don't see other variants. So this film is kind of, yes, this is a portrait of the community which is very much indoctrinated. But on the other hand, this is the situation. How do the people live their lives through, how they spend their lifetime when they don't fight for their freedom, for their life. It's just what happens if you just follow the suggested circumstances.
In Russian, especially religious philosophy, there's this distinction, and also in the language, between volya and svoboda, it both means freedom, but the one is more like an inner sense of freedom, and the other one is more that the conditions that you live in. And this concept, I think, is very influential. Like Tarkovsky also spoke a lot about it, for instance, when he was asked about how do you work under censorship conditions. And he said it didn't bother him at all as long as he had volya, like this inner freedom. What do you think about this concept?
It's a very good concept. Actually, you know that I was going to make a film on Northern Caucasus, but now it's impossible because of the
Yeah.
borders. So I'm working now on another film, which is especially about this. I'm not really. I don't think that Tarkovsky is right about the voля, the will. Yes, but I think it is more. Like if we talk about the opportunities of not following the suggested circumstances that suggest a prison, actually, because this concept of immortality, yes, this concept of that suggests reasons for leaving this prison like a living is based on the idea of survival.
Mm-hmm.
For me, and but like if you survive, you become you stop living, you just survive. That's what's happening with the people in Patita in this film. They survive in these circumstances which are not made for life, which are made only for survival. But actually to survive practically we don't need to survive, we need just to live and to be to produce this life. It's interesting that now we have these pandemic circumstances, and we really feel afraid of, where this goes, and we risk our lives. But like if we see the art of the people which was made during the other pandemic situations, we can just know from the history that at this time of when this artist made this, there was some pandemia, because this art wasn't about it at all.
Oh, you mean
Because
like
I
a
think, yeah, artists are not about survival. They are more about kind of fragility and freedom for being fragile, and the freedom for live their living through. That's why the will itself, the will is something which we need for survival, but we don't need will to live. We need some inner freedom and eyes and heart, and need to let ourselves live with it, just like we want.
What I find very interesting in communities in Russia that were former gulags, and actually in the entire post-Soviet territory, is that the history is not something that people deal with actively. They don't like looking at this part of their past, and it's quite unique that you directly after these camps closed, a lot of inmates, like you said, never moved away from this place. They settled there, but not just the inmates, also the former staff. So you have situations where basically the torturer lives next to his victim, and then the generations after that and after that and after that. Is this something that you talked to with people in Apatiti while you were shooting, or did you stay at a distance?
Well, yes, I talked about it because this is part of their life, and part of the life of their grandfathers and grandmothers. For those who are younger, and you can see it's very visible. It's like something that you don't need to discuss, because everybody in Russia, not only in Apatiti, feels that we live in a world of prisoners and Vertukhaev. Yeah.
Overseers, yes.
Overseers, yeah. And one of the reasons why these boys plan their career in the military service, because the young army is a good start for this, yes, is not to be in a prisoner, not to be a victim, but to be a predator.
Yeah. Would you say this is an anti-Soviet film?
Yeah, I think yes, because I think that in the Soviet Union, some kind of terrible constructions were built that still poison the society, and they poison the ideas that take place and live in Russia. I can say that it's part of the history of Russia. This and all ex-Soviet territories, because these ideas are very influential, and these ways of behavior are very influential. And if you go to, like if you just appear in any space and it was post-Soviet and you don't know where you are, you can definitely say that here there was a Soviet Union. Through you can see it in the architecture, in the faces of people, and yes. And my idea was how what was built, what was made in the Soviet Union that influenced life so much.
Mm.
Because you can't take the freedom from the people, but you can suggest them kind of a game and something maybe more seducing, like the idea of mortality.
Mm.
Yeah, and put it on the place of their lifetime.
Let's talk a bit about the visual part of the documentary, because like you mentioned, it's really made for the big screen and it's visually very, very striking. Did you have like a fixed concept before you started working, or did it just became this what it is right now as you went along?
I had some concept, and this word immortal, it appeared very early on a very early stage. But if we talk about the film language, then it appeared from we were working on it, and but it appeared from the reality that we saw. For example, you can see that a lot of there are a lot of shots, kind of back portraits, as I call it.
Yeah, no faces, and
yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. We filmed the people from the backs, and it wasn't the initial idea to make these back portraits. But when we started to film this patriotic show, and we started to film it from the front, we understood that in the end, on the screen, we get the propaganda. So we film propaganda, and then we just put the camera on the opposite side, and then one day happened. It was the first shot that we made. It's with the girl with the flag.
Oh, yeah,
Which
okay.
is in the end of the film. Yeah, it was the first shot made like this. And we understood that we see how it is made. We see, we don't see the human face, we see the construction. So when we see the Lenin's monument from the back, we don't see Lenin. We don't care if it is Lenin or somebody else. We see the construction of a human built in a stone, like kind of frozen human being. If we see the people staying on the bus stop from the back, we don't see kind of guys who need to feed their families, who need to survive and to earn money for this. We see kind of heroes that, like they look like the cosmonauts or somebody else, but we see kind of faceless and frozen like statue people, like ready for something. Yeah, maybe for making something to stay immortal as well as Lenin. I don't know. It produces a lot of ideas when we film it from the back.
Yeah.
Because and this was good. So it's part of the language of the film, filming these people from the back, because in the end, this is not about the people. This is about the system. This is about how the system works and how the states see the people, and say the state in Russia don't see people's faces. It sees only, it treats people like the resource, like the machine, and it is totally faceless. That's why it was very organic, but it came from some need, because we couldn't just film this show from the front, and this like decision on staying in the back gave us finally, I think it gave us a lot. It was one of these decisions. And regarding the other stuff, then when we got this first shots, we understood that it works, that how it will work, and we planned it. So it was planned a lot, but it was planned more about the attitude. We also looked for the situations of, like having the people boxed, limited in some constructions, architectural constructions, and to see this, because like the same, like the people live there in kind of this Khrushchevka, this barrack-like building. But yeah, you can film it very romantic, so it would look cozy and nice, but you feel that it's kind of not a good place for spending your life when you are inside, but you don't understand why. It's a thing about architecture that you you have a feeling, but you don't understand why do you have it.
Well, yes, it's so
Yeah,
oppressive. It's oppressive, kind of, and
yeah, it's oppressive, and you need to find the special point to show, if to make it visible that it is oppressive. Yeah, and that's how we worked on it. So we got the feeling. We discussed it with the cameraman, and then we made decisions on how do we film things.
Okay. And the film was shown in Russia. How were the reactions?
Oh, it was very interesting because I had no exact expectations, because I know that there are very different opinions, and there are a lot of people support this situation, and a lot of people feel
Well, you mean like the patriotic education?
patriotic. Yeah, a lot
That
of
is
people
what they
feel
support.
patriotic. Yeah, and we were blamed about that. We like, but there were two screens in St. Petersburg and in Russia, and it was both screens were like it was same situation with the reaction of the public. There were people from the big towns, St. Petersburg and Russia and Moscow, and there were people who never left these big towns and who said, no, this is lie, it is such a it's such a propagandistic thing. That's what they call it about our film, that people are different, they live happily, and it is very nice place. One woman said in Moscow that she went there for the holidays to skiing, and there is a resort nearby, and she saw only happy people, and there was a good food, and everything was very nice. Yeah, and but what saved me was the people from the Apatite who escaped this, and both in St. Petersburg and in Moscow there were two people. One was the lady who escaped the Apatite to St. Petersburg when she has a daughter. When in the school, her daughter was about to train with this gun, what we see in the film. And she was she thanked me that I filmed this, because that was a reason she became very scared, because she didn't want her daughter to make such things. That's why she escaped. I can say that in the big towns there is a kind of a very similar situation regarding the the whole pressure on the people. But there are variants here that you can choose what you make, and you can isolate yourself from
Well,
this.
but it starts with small things like singing the national hymn in school, and then the next thing is this patriotic education where you yes have to demantle and put back together a Kalashnikov, basically. So it's a gradual process, and I think the signs under Putin have been there for a long time.
Yeah, and that's because I think that from the inside of this life in Apatita, this life looks a little bit different than what we filmed. But what I felt from the people, who saved my screenings, actually, both in St. Petersburg. That's why, because if there were only people from the big towns, they would just destroy me. I think the main thing why these people were on my side, because they feel this kind of cruelty and this rude way of dealing with you, because since the teacher or the policeman have at least small power, he immediately starts to behave like an overseer, because the scheme switches on the prisoner and overseer, and you can't do anything with it, and you feel that you feel yourself like a victim. You feel that you are too small to fight with this, and and you just feel scared, and you don't feel any power to change things. Yeah, and I think that this portraying of this rude and cruel behavior, that's what these the viewers, the locals or ex-locals, yeah, that's what was sensitive for them. Yeah.
We have to stop it here. Our time ran out, but thank you so much, Ksenia, for this talk.
Thank you, Heather.
The entire Go East competition is still available on Xground On Demand. And also we have our audience award, so don't forget to vote. Thanks again to Ksenia, and see you for the next Q&A. Bye-bye.